For over 16 years, EJDConstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDConstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDConstruction.com.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchased with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
To be included there. There we go. Good morning, boys and girls. Yes, sir. It is time. It is here. It's like, it's fine. It's like Christmas for us sports fans, right? I mean, listen, I love basketball, love baseball, love hockey, love soccer, MMA, boxing, plenty of sports. I'm an all sports guy. I can watch all sports and enjoy competition. Got fans. I'm a fan of something in each of the sports. But, of course, there's nothing like football. And over the next week, we get the Canes. And, obviously, if you're a Florida State fan, you'll get it tomorrow, and Florida today. And FIU, I know, played earlier this week. And FAU plays against Florida. And UCF and South Florida got dogged and all that good stuff. So we get our college taste this week, and we get our NFL taste next week. And so the next, week here is a lot of fun for us as football fans, because obviously that's my favorite sport. So today even though I'm really, really nervous about the Canes game, and I have zero confidence, to be honest with you. To me, it's almost like you have to lie to yourself to try to, because I've whether I got in the car and I've heard either some of the shows, or I've heard people nationally, or I've seen the articles, and I don't play that game that where you try to fluff yourself up and try to, paint something that isn't. And so today, yeah, at 3:30, I'll be watching. I'll have ABC on and I'll be locked into the Canes in Alabama, and I'll be praying for a miracle. In a way, the one thing about these kids right now, and this is a team that has a lot of experience returning too. And I think what's important is they have an opportunity like they did in 83. And in 83, I know it kind of took to the national championship game to really like send that message. And that's not the case here. But UM is a nationally known name, not a national power, a nationally known name. And so I get that. So it's a nationally known name, and that's fantastic. But it's not a national power. Today is the day that if you ever were going to climb back to that, this is the moment right here. Now, breaking this down, like so a guy told me yesterday, well, why don't you break it down? And I go, there's not a lot to break down right now. Do you know why? Because everything's unknown. That's the problem. You don't know their quarterback. You don't know Alabama's new receivers and running back and everything else that they've changed, right? They got a lot of their defensive players back, but overall, they've got a lot of change. And then Miami has to change, right? Because think about this. The Miami you've watched over 2 years under Manny Diaz, can that Miami win today? Right? No shot in hell, right? Zero chance. So today is about playing like you've never played before under Manny Diaz. Those are the facts. And that's why I laugh at the people that try to kind of spin this thing and make it sound like you got a shot or you're going to win or whatever. It's ridiculous to even think that, because we're asking them to do something they've never done before. But for people like me that don't believe that they're going to do it, this is your opportunity. For the people around the national audience that don't think the Canes are relevant anymore, this is your opportunity to prove them wrong. For those out there that, that are betting Alabama and they're guaranteeing that Alabama's going to win and trounce the Canes, this is your opportunity. I mean, really, in the end, this is what you've got to get done if you're the University of Miami. And if you don't win this game, which I don't expect them to win, at least play at a really competitive level and at least be in the game somehow. If you can do that, that would also be, I personally, that's what I'm shooting for. I'm not going to lie to myself thinking that the Canes are going to win. I'm not silly like that. I'm just not going to do that stuff. You know what I mean? I'm a fan, but I'm not going to act like a fan on the air here and do my show and just kind of, BS you and all that. What I am hoping for is that they're competitive today. That's what I'm hoping for, because there's too many unknowns. is unproven. They haven't won a game like this in forever. Coach Diaz has not proven that he can outcoach a guy like Saban. And that's what he's got to do today. Rhett Lashley has got to keep a guy like Saban guessing all the time. And I got to tell you something. I have slightly more hope that Rhett Lashley can maybe keep, Saban guessing a little bit more than Diaz outcoaching Saban. But these are the things that it's going to require. And then D'Eriq King has got to carry the team. Because, again, who else is going to carry the team? Can the defense carry the team? Can the running game carry the team? I don't think so. So it's got to be D'Eriq King, and the weight of the world is on this young man. The O-line has got a ton of experience. If you're going to even be competitive in this game, or if you want to try to, whatever, if you want to convince yourself that they got a shot to win,
Blind ass fan alert. Look out, everyone. We've got a blind ass fan coming through.
If you want to convince yourself that they're going to win, well, if they're going to win, that offensive line has to dominate, and King has to have the game of all games. These are the things that have to happen today. And that O-line, no more excuses, right? That's what the problem is right now, is all the unknowns. While I'm excited that UM is back, I'm excited to watch the Canes. This is a game that I fear because I don't want to walk away from it 58-3 like Clemson. And that's the thing that I fear the most, is that you walk away with a 30, 35, 40-point loss, and you're like sitting there going, yeah, they've made zero progress. You know that's what's going to happen. If they get blown out, you're going to say zero progress. Canes have done nothing whatsoever. That's, that to me, that's the thing. So while I'm pumped and excited to watch college football, excited to have football back in our lives, I'm more excited about next week, that I think the Dolphins can win more than this week against the Canes against Alabama. So, we'll see what happens. I would love to be wrong. I would love to come on Monday, and you guys are calling me idiot. And you see, you were just being negative. They had a shot. You see, you didn't really believe in them. They're the real deal, and you did not believe in them. Aren't you ashamed? That kind of stuff. And I'm sure some of it will be even worse by some of you out there. That's fine. But that's where I stand with this game. While I'm just absolutely fearful of what could end up happening. So good luck to our Canes. Let's hope they can get it done. And let me tell you something. Pressure has gone up a little bit more on Manny after this game. Do you know why? North Carolina lost to Vatek yesterday. And by the way, Mac Jones, hey, buddy, you could use timeouts. You may want to manage that clock down the stretch a little better there. My man was collecting timeouts like people collect crypto coins. Holy moly. So if Vatek can beat them, boy, you better beat North Carolina. I'm not telling you better beat Alabama, because that's ridiculous. But I am going to tell you better beat North Carolina now. Okay? I mean, really. And speaking of crypto, Crow, baby, climbing all the way up to 17 cents now. Matic is exploding right now. Venus, I've been waiting patiently, waiting in the wings for Venus, because it dropped a lot, man. I was able to get the dip really low, and now it's starting to climb out again the last couple of days. And Chili's, which I got like around 23, 24 cents. I think I got some at 22, actually. And it climbed to like 40, went back down to like 38, 37 cents. Now it's up to like 43 cents today. I believe it's up to 43. So it's Chili's is also kicking ass right now. 42.6 right now. So almost 43. It was at 43 before, but it's up almost 7% on the day. So nice to see Chili's rising. It's nice to see the crypto market rising big time. I love it, man. I love it. For those of us that play a little crypto action. Anyway, hope you all are doing well on a beautiful Saturday, on a college football Saturday. FAU in Florida will play at 7:30. Notre Dame and FSU tomorrow at 7:30 on ABC. UCF defeated Boise State around the state 36-31. NC State, trounced South Florida. Man, they're back. Isn't it funky how South Florida never recovered from the Jim Leavitt firing? Never. Like, they fired that dude and their program went to crap. And their program was trending in another way with Leavitt. Like they were trying to become like a perennial top 25 type team. Crazy. Mangino, big dude at Kansas. Remember that? Kansas was actually respectable under Mangino. I'm not telling you they were going to win a national championship game, but they were winning games at Kansas. They were actually decent. Never recovered from it. Basketball school that actually had a chance to build something on football. And I know Mangino, whatever, and Levitt, I know they made their mistakes. Philip Fulmer, Tennessee. Isn't it weird how some of these schools have fired a guy for whatever reason they fired him, and then they were never able to recover from those things again. And every time I look at South Florida, I go, damn, dude. Holy crap, you fired Levitt and everything went to shit. You had it going, man. It's crazy. They had some guys on defense that were nasty. Selvey and Jason Pierre-Paul. And, I mean, Levitt was doing a hell of a job at that place. Wow. Certain schools, man. It's weird how that has happened to them. I wonder if there's another one that I can think of right now of a guy that had their program at least headed in the right direction, playing well, and then they fired him and never recovered. Those are the three that came to mind right away. And it's, wow, just amazing how that has ended up, developing with all of that. So let's hope the Canes can get it done, man. But it's nice to have college football back. It really is super nice to have it. Alan Pupar is going to join us here at 11:15. So we will we're going to do a lot of Dolphins talk today. We did, by the way, for those of you that did not tune in yesterday, Manny Navarro's segment for the Canes, where Miami Hurricanes report, is also there. So just in case, if you want to check that out. But today we'll have a lot of because the game's at 3:30. So, we talked about it yesterday. Today we're going to keep moving on, and we're going to talk a lot of Dolphins. So we'll have Alan Pupar at 11:15 in about 10 minutes. And then Joe Schad will be at the top of the hour with us. So we'll have two Dolphin reports today, and they will move over to Sundays next week. Next Sunday, we're at Sports Grill in Miami Lakes, okay? And we will be on the air 2 hours before game time. So we'll be there at Sports Grill probably 3 hours before the game starts. You don't have to show up that early, okay? You can show up closer to the game and all that stuff. I'm not asking you to hang out for the whole show and all that. But just so you'll know, we will be there doing the show and having some fun with everybody out there. So looking forward to it. We'll take your questions. We'll have an open mic. So if you want to ask something, you can come up and ask something during the talk segments of the show. We'll do 2 hours pre. We'll do 2 hours post. We'll take your comments, your questions. Of course, the chat board will always be open. The emails at bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. Of course, Twitter, Big O Show. Many ways to reach out to us. And, of course, please support us. Cash App and Venmo, Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. All right? There you go. Happy game day, Big O. We have you on the big screen as the backdrop to our fantasy draft in a few. Love football season. There you go, Justin. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you having us there on the fantasy draft. That is very, very cool. Let's see. What else do we have here? I am coming down to Sports Grill one weekend, but Hollywood is calling you, Big O. All right. Well, let's get a what's it called, a sponsor in Hollywood to support us, and we'll go do it over there. Mob Rule says great interview on Dougley. Thank you. It's Dougley and I. It's like it's automatic, right? So we get along and we have good chemistry. So we have a lot of fun and we have the same passion, Dolphins, right? Rosendo says, good morning, Big O National. Good morning, Big O Nation. Happy Saturday. May peace, love, harmony surround you, and may you have a blessed weekend. Thank you, Rosendo. Appreciate you. I hope everybody has a blessed weekend. That song says, Big O, saludos from Puerto Rico. the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. Hawaiian Punch is in. I got your colada. He was first up. R. Carrillo in. Herman Cueva, Wilter Quesada, Big Rig, Rich V, Juan Angel, Omar Lopez, Leon Fresco, GP Trap, NorCal, Jay Gelfin, Ethereum Elemental. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Thank you all out there for chiming in. I appreciate all of you out there. I'm looking forward to it. Did you guys see Barry Jackson's article talking a little bit about the team? And he interviewed my guy, Matt Williamson. I've known Matt for 20 years, whether he was a scout or he's working for media and all that stuff. And he's with the NFL Network now. And Matt knows his stuff. I've known Matt for a really long time. And it's interesting because those of you that follow the show, you might know what I'm talking about. I've talked about this in the past because a lot of people always ask, well, why didn't the Dolphins draft a running back? And I've told you guys this, right? This is my theory. And while I like Gaskin and all that, I like the guys that they have, but I know that a lot of people are looking for that stud back that they draft from college, first, second round, a guy that's just been tearing it up and it looks like he's going to be a star at the next level. You know what I'm talking about, right? And I've given you my theory on it. I've told you that what you have to do is, first, why draft a kid in the first or second round 2 years ago to play behind no line and get beaten up? Why play him last year when the line was so young and still trying to figure it out and get beaten up and you didn't really have an established quarterback yet? Why draft him this year when the line still hasn't developed and the quarterback is still young? So their philosophy has been, well, we'll find a street free agent or two. We'll use lower round picks, which you can find. Hell, you can find a star in the lower round picks, sometimes. And maybe Gaskin is. Who knows? I think Gaskin will have a good season overall, actually. I really do. I like Gaskin. But for those of you that have wanted that star back, I gave you my thing that I said, I think these guys are going to leave the back for last because why wear out the kid? And you don't really use a second contract sometimes on a lot of these guys. Maybe you use them, if you draft them in the first round, you use them up for 5 years. You tag him for a 6 and then let him go. And then go draft another kid. It's rare that you're going to give him big money and then a second contract unless it's a freak of all freaks. And then you say, well, dude, we've got a really special player. Let's keep him. And, he'll retire after 10 or 12 years from us and we'll have him. So Barry's interviewing Matt Williamson. And when Matt talks about the Dolphins running back core, he had this to say, which to me, this is the interesting part. And this is a former NFL scout. And this is why I bring it up to you guys on the whole running back situation. Here we go. Running backs. I'm not sure one of those believers that running backs don't matter. I'm not one of those believers that running backs don't matter. Coaches tend to agree with me on that. Myles Gaskin was a lot better than I expected last year. I'm not saying he's a true number one. Dolphins probably would have taken Javonte Williams and if Denver haven't moved up, and they put in a claim for Kerryon Johnson. So I don't think they're content there. If I'm building a football team, that would be the last piece of my puzzle. That's my point. That's the last piece of the puzzle. Once I know the Dolphins have a Super Bowl team, and I'm Chris Greer and I'm Brian Flores, and we're looking at each other going, okay, we're set, dude. We got the team. What do we need now? We need to go get that back. And that draft that comes around, that's where they go and get the best back in the draft. That's what I think they're going to do. I truly believe that. But at this time, why do that? Kid suffers an injury or multiple injuries or a knee injury while you're developing the team, and then he never really reaches his peak. But if your line is already in a groove, they're experienced, your quarterback's already experienced, everybody's comfortable, now you plug in the running back and now the offense takes another step forward. So I was happy to see my man Matt Williamson agree with me that that's what I think Chris Greer and Brian Flores are doing. And maybe they would have taken Javonte. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? We're all guessing. Like I said, nobody talks to Chris Greer. Nobody talks to Brian Flores. Nobody really knows what those guys are thinking. They can guess. I can guess. You can guess. But we don't really know. So we await, Alan Poupart now. He will be joining us any second. Good morning, Big O. I'm probably one of the few Gator fans on here looking forward to Emory Jones versus Nkosi tonight. Going to catch the Tides Canes game too. UF faces Bama in a few weeks. Yeah, going to be tough. I'm rooting for Nkosi to have success over there. Not that they're going to succeed against Florida. Florida should trounce FAU when it's all when the game is done. It's going to be pretty ugly. You know what I mean? Big O, you also say you can fill all positions. You can't fill all positions in one draft. Amen to that? Yeah. They got a couple more, and I think that next draft, the next draft should be the finisher on, the finishing touches on certain things. Because I would imagine you'll need a back, you'll need a couple linemen. Because, again, we're the only people that tell you constantly all five aren't going to hit. It's impossible. So they're going to need that too. If it happens, it would be absolutely amazing. That's all we could say. All right, let's talk a little Miami Dolphins football. Alan Poupart, baby. He has the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report. We do that next.
Let's get ready to talk Dolphins football. It's the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Report with Sports Illustrated's Alan Poupart. With locations throughout South Florida. Check out our sponsored locations in Miami on Bird Road in 114th and in Miami Lakes in the Ryan Oaks Plaza. Here's Miami Dolphins insider Alan Poupart.
Rock, there he is. The man, the myth, the legend that is Alan Poupart, always rocking the Expos hat, which is a beautiful thing. All right. So you think has a chance today against Alabama? Okay. All right.
I really hope so, because it'd be nice. I mean, I was here in the 80s. In the 80s when UM was kicking ass every year, and I long for those days, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, no, but it would be amazing. Wow, it would be one of the great stories of all time. It would make me feel, I was saying earlier, it would make me feel a little like 83, even though it's not a championship game, but that's what I felt like when they won that thing, and I'm going crazy, and it's like, wow, they beat Nebraska. And I think if you ever want to get back on the map again and be a national power, you better at least have a really good performance today and try to keep it close. Because that's all I'm looking forward to today, Alan. I don't expect them to win, but man, somehow if you can keep it competitive, I'd be proud of the Canes, actually, at this point. That would be progress in my eyes. Maybe some, crazy fans think, oh, you got to win or nothing, but I would call that progress.
No question. They have to hang in there. That's the bottom line. And here's another angle for me, is I would really like a college football season where we don't automatically pencil in Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and then the fourth team's going to be Georgia or Oklahoma before we haven't played a game.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but the NILs they're going to maintain that, man, because those. I mean, look at Ohio State. They got a kid that's a backup getting a $1 million deal. I mean, that's that's going to be the case, then the powerhouses are going to get even more powerful when it's all said and done, man. So it's nuts. I want to ask you something interesting here. Who's going to be the best player on the offensive line for the Miami Dolphins in the 2021 season?
Robert Hunt. I say that without hesitation.
Why?
Physical. Well, yeah, I was getting to that, Big O. Physical skills. You saw flashes last year at right tackle where he just looks like an NFL big-time offensive lineman. I think maybe at the start, let's say the first 3 or 4 weeks, Jesse Davis may be your most solid offensive lineman, but he doesn't have the physical gifts that Robert Hunt has. Robert Hunt can move. He's big, got a little bit of nasty in him. So you put those factors together, I think it's pretty clear also. I don't think there's a close second when I say Robert Hunt's the one with the most, the potential to be the best offensive lineman on that line in 2021.
Does he end up at guard, or is this a guy that gradually ends up improving and they move him to the outside?
Dude, they could have kept him at right tackle this year, and he would have been just fine. He was not a problem at right tackle last year in any way, shape, or form. He was the least of the Dolphins' concerns on that offensive line. They moved him at right guard because I think, and this isn't just me talking, like every draft analyst you spoke to before the 2020 draft, it was an agreement that guy could be a really solid right tackle. He could be an elite guard. So
Okay.
That's what the Dolphins obviously agreed with that assessment, moved him inside, and there's no reason to move him back. The only reason they move him back is if somehow Jesse Davis gets injured and they decide that Liam Eichenberg isn't ready to handle the right tackle spot, that Eichenberg's better at guard for the time being. And I say only injury with Jesse Davis because I have no concerns about Jesse Davis being able to do a solid job. Maybe not elite, but he's going to do a solid job. But if something happens to him, then obviously there's a situation that needs to be resolved. And the two options are you put Eichenberg in there or you slide back Hunt back to right tackle. But I think the preference clearly would be to keep him at right guard.
Barry Jackson interviewed my boy Matt Williamson. I've known Matt for a long time, like 20 years. He's a really good dude and knows his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He had an interesting point where he thinks Hunt will end up as the right tackle and Eichenberg will end up as the guard. And because he thinks that Eichenberg can be a solid tackle, but, the short arms, he might end up being a better guard in long term than tackle. You see anything in that? Do you agree? Is there any part of you that agrees with Matt Williamson that in the end there could be a switch with those two guys?
Well, to me, that would indicate a failure from Eichenberg more so than anything about Hunt. And again, I like to ask questions. If that was going to be the long-range plan, Jesse Davis can play right guard perfectly fine. In fact, he might be better at right guard than he is at right tackle. So if that was a long-range view, why wouldn't you just have Jesse Davis playing right guard now and keep Hunt at right tackle so he does not going back and forth. So no, I respect Matt Williamson. I read the piece. I didn't have major objections with practically anything that was said. That particular part, I didn't really agree with it.
I have a theory.
Why there's a new one.
Yeah, right. But I think it's logical, my brother. Drew Brees, when you watch him and you watch the philosophy of the New Orleans Saints on the offensive line, they really never went after elite tackles. That wasn't really their thing. They had guys that were pretty damn good. Once in a while, they'd have a really good one. But more often than not, they were elite at guard and center. Because the most important thing is for that pocket to never crumble for a guy like Drew Brees because he's a shorter guy. So once you disrupt the middle of that pocket, it really takes the shorter quarterback out of the mix and the passing lanes get all disrupted. You just gave us the answer. Robert Hunt is your best lineman. We need to put our best people in the middle of the line first and foremost. So we make sure that young man has the pocket that he needs every single time he drops back. And I think that's what it is early on. Early on, they're trying to put their best in the middle, and the kid on the left side, he excels at pass protection, not run. So now I think they're trying to form the best three-man front there for Tua at the moment. Once Eichenberg, if he ever moves to guard, builds up the strength, the experience to play guard, and then Jesse Davis, maybe he's not as healthy to deal in a phone booth at this moment. Maybe those kind of guys, I think that switch will end up happening eventually. But at the time being, they probably felt the most important thing is to try to keep the middle intact as much as possible for Tua. Agree? Disagree? Or am I just going Oliver Stone?
Well, then there's nothing wrong with going Oliver Stone. You make some valid points. I will tell you this though, because you kind of kind of poo-poo the Saints tackles. Terran Armstead's a pretty damn good tackle.
And where did they draft him? Out of Arkansas Pine Bluff, and it was like in the 5th round. My point is, they didn't draft in the 1st round like, oh, let's go get a tackle that we can't miss on. That they've never put like priority on tackle. Oh, we got to go sign a franchise tackle. We got to draft them in the 1st round. They've developed them, and like Terran Armstead, he came out of freaking nowhere. You and I saw him because he was at, I believe he was one of the guys that went from the East-West to the Senior Bowl, if I'm correct. He had a great East-West and then went to the Senior Bowl, and his name just exploded after that. But that's my point. Look where they picked Terran Armstead. He turned into a hell of a player, but it wasn't like you planned it that way. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at the middle of the line, they were always Studley there, always.
Okay, but here's one flaw with your argument, or one little nick I can put in it. If that's the case, and there's validity to it, no question. If that's the case, then why did the Dolphins force the pick of Austin Jackson 18th last year? Remember, they had picked Tua 5th already, so obviously at that time you can assume that the vision was Tua was going to be the long-term quarterback. If the plan is to be really solid in the middle of the offensive line, I think we can pretty much agree that Austin Jackson was picked because the Dolphins really, 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 really wanted a tackle at that point.
Because But you normally don't take guards at 18. So I guess that's
then they could have picked a different position. The Austin Jackson pick, I'm going to have a hard time being convinced that there wasn't like a purely a need pick that we need to tackle that spot. Yeah. So that kind of goes against your theory, which.
And by the way, and to help you, not only that, they ended up drafting a left-handed quarterback. So they really needed the right side, not the left side. You know what I mean? But again, normally you don't draft a right tackle at 18. Normally you don't draft guards at 18. Normally you draft franchise left tackles that high. That's kind of the norm. And I guess that's probably what they went with. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're right about that. I can't argue that, but again, that's why I think they moved Hunt inside, and Solomon Kinley and Dieter has actually done a solid job. So
I also think Hunt has a higher ceiling than Eichenberg personally. So I don't know that I'd see a time where they'll decide Eichenberg's better suited to protect the middle for Tua than Robert Hunt. But that's just that's just me.
All right, we didn't when we had you on and Omar too, and now we're gonna have Joe, but we didn't really get a lot of conversations with Joe. We didn't end up talking a lot about Robert Jones. What was your assessment of the young man? Because as I've said and I've reminded people here, they're not going to hit on all 5 linemen. I don't know which ones are going to fail, but 1 or 2, maybe even 3 of the guys are going to fail. Okay, that's the numbers. So you're going to have to find another gem somewhere. Is Robert Jones that guy? What did you see in him? What do you know about what they saw in him that they kept him?
Well, right away, consider the fact that they gave him the highest guarantee or bonus when they signed him as a UDFA. I believe he tied for highest in the entire league. So that tells you right away that they viewed him as a guy who was clearly draft pick worthy and ended up being a rookie free agent. So that's number one. Number two, again, in looking at the offensive line throughout training camp early on, he was getting an awful lot of reps with the 2. So right away you can tell, okay, the Dolphins think highly of him. This guy's got a shot. And then you get into games and you zero in on him, and there's not once where he looked overwhelmed, as opposed to say, and I don't want to take a shot at the kid because he's now in IR, but as opposed to say Larnell Coleman, who you can see, especially in that preseason game against Cincinnati, you're like, dude, this is too much for him. He's not ready for the NFL. Yeah. There was never any moment like that with Robert Jones, and it goes beyond the viral video of him pancaking a Cincinnati guy 5 yards down the field, which is great, but it gets more about consistency. And again, he looked like he belonged in the middle of an NFL offensive line. So it wasn't. In fact, I did a roster projection last week. And pat on the back here, I had Robert Jones on the 53. So that he wound up making it didn't surprise me.
That's strong on your part. And again, it's a guy that we didn't really talk a lot about. So I'm really intrigued. Is he is he a guy that you look at as for sure guard because he has tackle ability too? And as you know, this team loves you even more. If you're multiple, you can hang around a while. If you only do one thing, your days are numbered here with the Dolphins. It's just kind of the way it is. Unless that one thing you do is so freaking dominant that they can't let you go, But what's his strength? Do you see him more as a guard or a tackle, or do you see a lot of Robert Hunt in him that he might be able to excel at both?
No, I don't see a tackle at all. Though he doesn't look like a tackle in the least. He's kind of like, I was about to say short, and the guy's like 6'4", 300. So I mean, there's nothing short about him. But I mean, prototypically speaking, yeah, he looks like a guard. I don't believe he has center in his background. I think that certainly something that can be taught. I think that if he's going to be multiple at some point in his career, it's going to be center guard, not guard tackle.
All right. Anything intriguing for you in the practice squad moves? Is there a guy there that they picked up from somewhere else, or a guy that they were able to keep from the training camp that you really think could be a contributor as the year goes on?
Well, the two who jump out at me is Kirk Merritt. I'm very surprised that nobody picked him up waivers.
Me too.
And we spoke. I mean, the guy looks. We want to talk about looking the part. I mean, that guy looked good. So
yeah,
very surprised that we're able to get him. And it's not likely the Dolphins will have injuries at wide receiver because they never do. But in the event they do, okay, I kid. So by week one, he'll probably be elevated. Who knows? But yeah, I would expect him at some point to get playing time. And the other one that obviously sticks out is Jabal Sheard, the veteran pass rusher who hasn't been that productive lately, but early in his career, certainly had something as a pass rusher.
He was a force.
Yeah, he was a force. And so there's something there, and he fits the mold of a 3-4 outside linebacker.
Florida kid, right?
Yeah, Florida kid, played at Pitt.
Yeah.
Well, there's definitely something there. And I like that they were able to get Sinnott on the practice squad because, again, there's something there. I don't know if he'll ever play an NFL regular season game. I don't know if it'll pan out, but there's something to work with there, and I think it's be interesting to see how he develops.
Yes, he has all the skill sets of a real quarterback. The pocket awareness, the moxie back there. I mean, when I saw him rolling out and telling the guy, go deep, go. I mean, that's cojones this size, because young guys are just deer in headlights, and they're looking, oh my God, am I going to get killed out here in the open field? Let me get rid of the football. And this kid was a calm, cool customer. I like Sinnott, man. I'm with you. I think if he's not playing here, then dude, go to the CFL and make a living, bro, and play and start somewhere, because it looks like he's got some kind of skill set that you can work with.
Got a live arm too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Does Hunter Long get enough playing time this year to develop? Because like Dieter was stuck in that zone last year where they went with a whole bunch of guys and he didn't really get a lot of playing time to develop at all. He had to sit back and watch a lot last year and play very little. And so Hunter Long now, and you this coach, he puts you on the field if you can win. If you can't help me win, you get the hell off the field. I'll get somebody else. Well, dude, Shaheen has been an ass kicker. He looks like he and Tua have got, rhythm. And Gesicki, that he can play, and he's hungry to get his contract. So you got two motivated dudes that are playing really well. Where's the playing time for Hunter Long to develop this year? Are you concerned about that?
Oh, no question. And which is why the pick was weird to me in the first place, if they're going to keep everybody, because you just mentioned Gesicki and Shaheen, who are clearly your top two pass catchers right now. But if they go blocking mode for a tight end, it's Durham Smythe. And then Ethan Carter, who is easy to forget because he's not a big name, but dude looked really good catching the ball in training camp, and he's
you have constantly told us this, by the way. You have constantly been telling us about Ethan Carter.
Yeah, okay. Because I mean, like I said, I'll be honest. I know a good percentage of players around the league, and the Dolphins signed him as a free agent, and I had to call my colleague in Cincinnati. I'm like, dude, I've never heard of the guy. Can you tell me something about him? And then book on him as a special teams, and he's a blocker. while training camp starts and like dude's getting open and catching everything inside. I'm like, whoa, wait, what's going on here? So, I mean, he's legit. So where does Hunter Long fit into all of this? And again, keep in mind, they signed Carter to a 3-year deal as a UFA in the offseason when they already had their top 3 guys back from last year. And then they go ahead and draft Hunter Long in the 3rd round, which is why, to me, all along, it smelled like there was a move coming at that position.
Right.
Because what are you going to do? You can basically give Long a red shirt here. I mean,
that's what it's looking like to me.
If everybody's healthy, does he not wind up on the inactive list? I mean, that as a 3rd round pick, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And there's something there as far as pass catching ability. He gets open downfield. I mean, he had a bad drop against Cincinnati in the preseason finale. That's a catch he's got to make, but he moves very well down the field, and he's going to get open. He's going to catch some passes. But what's he doing in 2021? That's a great question.
Who's going to lead the team in sacks this year?
One would imagine be Emmanuel Ogbah.
Motivation.
He did last year. If it's not him, I didn't see enough from Jalen Phillips in training camp to be overly excited about what he's going to do sack-wise. And if it's not Ogbah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Andrew Van Ginkel, because the dude he looked good in the summer. And it's just a continuation of how we did last year. I mean, he didn't get as much playing time as other guys, but every time he was on the field, he's making things happen. And he looks like the same kind of guy. So wouldn't surprise me if it was Van Ginkel.
Yeah, I think you're going to start seeing more Van Ginkel jerseys around the stadium as this year goes on, because if this kid continues at this trajectory, then this should be another breakout year for him. And I think he becomes a fan favorite. I think he's already kind of an under the radar fan favorite right now. I think a lot of people have really, grown to like this kid because he's always around the damn ball, dude. You can't teach shit like that, bro. Once you see those kind of guys like Holland, there's something about that, dude, that you just don't teach that kind of stuff. In Sinet, we were talking about, you don't teach those instincts that he has back there. Either you have it or you don't. You know what I mean? When I watched him, I'm like, Tannehill never had that stuff here the first couple of years.
Never had it, period. Forget the first couple of years. He developed it. Excuse me. He developed it when he joined the team that had a monster running back that every opposing defense has to focus on, and he can do play action passes to guys who are running open down the field.
Yeah.
Well, no offense to Ryan, but it is what it is.
I'm with you. All right. So what are you working on in SI so folks can check you out, my brother?
Well, it's funny you should mention, because I did something yesterday on the guys who really shined in training camp and how that projects into the regular season. And Andrew Van Ginkel was one of the players I mentioned near the top. And another one I mentioned was Matt Collins, who was just, the guy was amazing in training camp. We always know he's a good special teams player, but as a receiver, he just caught everything in sight and made a lot of plays. So may have played himself into a role on offense, even though they do have an awful lot of bodies at that position. Doing a mailbag today and maybe a couple of other things, but I want to get done before 3:30 p.m. because I do want to see if the Hurricanes can pull off the big upset and hand our good friend Nick Saban a loss early in the season.
That would be sweet if that could. I mean, wow, it'd be awesome.
Yep.
I would love a big giant bottle of kale pectate to park itself right next to Nick Saban. And that would, I would love to see him just with that constipated look on his face towards the end, and he's throwing his headphones down. That would be freaking amazing. That would be awesome. Don't think it's going to happen, but it would be amazing.
It's okay to dream, right?
Yes, it is. Follow him on Twitter at Poopart NFL. And, of course, make sure it's the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report. Well, guess what? Next week, 2 hours prior to kickoff, we're going to be live at Sports Grill in Miami Lakes doing our pregame show and getting you ready for the Dolphins and the Patriots. And will you be coming by?
I just might do that.
Ah, there you go. So you might get an appearance from Alan Poupar in the first hour of the show, right? It'll be the first hour of the show.
Probably very early in the show, and then it's
very early. Then he's got to get back to the house to take notes and do everything he's got to do, like the responsible reporter that he is. Alan, as always, my brother, thank you. Enjoy the college football this weekend, my friend. And the Expos will live on forever.
Absolutely. Thanks, Big O.
You got it.
This has been the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report with Alan Poupart, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and never miss a report. Search Big O Radio Show on most platforms. Visit Sports Grill and our sponsored locations in Miami on Bird Road and 114th and in Miami Lakes in the Ryan Oaks Plaza.
All I have to say is, where do you get this kind of Dolphin conversation? You don't really get it anywhere. You don't get it on any radio station locally, right? You get it here, and the only place, and that's where you can catch Alan every week here, twice a week, baby. It's Tuesdays, normally Tuesdays, and then Saturdays, but now we're going to switch it over to Sundays starting next week. So Alan will be joining us on Sundays next week, and there'll be no more. This is the final Saturday show, by the way. This is the last Saturday show. No mo. I get to sleep in on Saturdays now. So my 6th day of the week will be on Sunday, not Saturday now. So there you go. But great job by Alan. As always, incredibly informative. How about that? He had Robert Jones making the team on the 53-man roster. That young man kind of went under the radar because we didn't really talk enough about him. And you know what it is? We lose our focus because we're so focused on the draft picks and the starters that we're not even looking at some of the backups. We're not even counting on them, right? And that's the beauty of what Alan does and obviously the coaching staff. They've got to have a little more foresight. And, you know, one of the things I thought about when Alan was talking about the tight ends, the beauty also of the Dolphins now going into the third season under Greer and Flores is depth. Whether it's wide receiver, and I know they're kind of unproven, but it looks like they got a little more depth on the offensive line. They got depth at running back. They got depth, as we just heard, at tight end. So you start seeing cornerback, there's depth. Things have changed with the Dolphins over these 3 years. You want to see progress as a team. Well, you've gone from 5 to 10 wins, and hopefully you get to the playoffs, right? You want progress individually. You watch Nick Needham from his first moments to now, and he's grown into a much better player. You watch Andrew Van Ginkel grow into a better player. You know what I mean? So you're watching guys also make progress. And that's also incredibly important. That's one of the things that I feel good about these guys. I feel positive, something that I haven't felt in 20 years. Because I always was nervous about everything that was going on because it was done with some kind of an agenda. There was some political battle and behind the scenes between a coach and a general manager and all the other pieces. And it was like you're playing human Jenga constantly with the Miami Dolphins. With these guys, it just seems like there's a consistency. There's a steadiness to it. The message is the same. The guys are progressing. The team is getting better. Think about this. All these guys that are on the beat and women that are on the beat, if these guys get to the playoffs, when was the last time you had ever seen a Dolphins team improve 3 straight years in a row? That's unheard of, dude. It's hard to find 2 straight years in a row. Usually it's like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. That's how it normally was with the Dolphins. No consistency. If you get to the playoffs, it proves that their coaching is working. You know, even when we talked about the whole Tua thing, when everybody's trying to decipher what's going on, who's the offensive coordinator, who's going to call the plays, and the way they deciphered it, where they've got the 2 offensive coordinators feeding it to Charlie Fry, who's the former quarterback, played in the NFL, played in college, and knows Tua from his high school days jumping to college. There's that familiarity, and there's a quarterback talk. So not only are these guys passing the plays to Fry can communicate to Tua on a quarterback level because he has seen everything that Tua is about to see and deal with. And it's well thought of. Everything, or thought out. Everything is, it seems to be thought out, almost everything. You know what I mean? They're not going to be perfect. They're not going to hit on everything. But that's the reason why I feel good about what these guys are doing. There's more consistency. There's a method to the madness, you know, that's going on. And let me tell you, Alan was onto something when you draft Hunter Long and he says, well, maybe there's a move coming. And you think about it now, I don't know who this Ethan Carter is. Maybe he turns into something. Maybe Adam Shaheen takes another step forward now. And maybe that's why they're waiting on giving Gesicki a deal. I thought it was a foregone conclusion that eventually you give Gesicki a deal and you have a 2 tight end attack with Hunter and Gesicki. But if Shaheen develops and Hunter develops, or Ethan Carter develops, becomes cheaper options for you, more cap manageable, you let Gesicki go and you get your compensatory pick for him. Probably be a 3rd rounder since you drafted him in the 2nd. And if he's going to sign a big contract, you get your compensatory pick still, and you have your tight ends at a lower price. So now you're managing the cap. So you never know. Allen may be onto something there. I thought for sure you would sign Gesicki, like it's a foregone conclusion. Maybe not. Depends on what happens this season with some of those backup guys. If they show you something and they're able to take that next step forward, it's like Robert Jones. If Robert Jones turns into a player, that becomes incredibly affordable for you as a team. And obviously, it saves your ass if you miss on one of your draft picks, but you hit on a street free agent. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not going to hit on all your picks, but if you hit on half of them, you're a freaking genius. And if you're able to find a street free agent, then that takes you to another level. Because now you're unearthing talent on cheap trades like Adam Shaheen. You're finding street free agents like Sealer, right? Whatever it is, Seiler. Just having fun with it. Relax. Anyway, so you got to find talent everywhere. And that's what I like about these guys. There's a consistency, and they keep finding guys everywhere. And that's how you build a football team. This is why they're having the success that they're having, man. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to watch the development of the Miami Dolphins. Let me tell you something that I like about this team, and I want to commend Chris Greer on this, because I don't know if he planned it this way, or if this is kind of an agenda for them. But I love the fact that you've got a really hungry team with the Dolphins. And hungry in many ways. Look, on their own, of course, they want to prove, they want to get to the playoffs. They want to prove that they belong. I get all of that. But I'm thinking about this. Think about this. Gesicki needs a new deal. Whether it's this team or somebody else, he's got to go ball out. No choice. You don't hold out. You don't complain. You don't bitch. You get on the field. You be a pro. You play the game hard, and everything will fall into place, and he'll get his deal from the Dolphins or somebody else. You never know. Emmanuel Ogbah, playing the last year of his 2-year deal. He's got to kind of prove to the Dolphins again that last year was not an aberration and that this is the norm from here on out, so he can get a multi-year deal. Motivated. Jakeem Grant. Jakeem Grant had a multiple-year deal, cut down to 1 year from $3.6 to $3 million, right? So now he's motivated because he's got to prove to people, all of us, the coaches, that he can improve as a wide receiver. He is what he is as a returner. He's elite. He's awesome, but he has to continue to do his job as a returner also if he wants to get a future deal from the Dolphins or anybody else. Will Fuller. Will Fuller has had those hamstring injuries and, again, suffered an injury here in preseason. He's on a 1-year deal. And that was planned. And this is a guy that if he wants a multi-year deal, he's a threat. The guy can play, but he can't stay healthy. So he's got to get motivated and find a way to figure his body out and stay on the field this year to have a great year if he's going to get a long-term contract from the Dolphins or anybody else. Tua can say whatever he wants, and he's always going to say the right things, but he's not going to tell you that he's motivated as hell. Because he's been dissed, he's been, ridiculed, he's been just disrespected, at every level, and and I'm sure whatever he says, he knows that other people are talking about Herbert. He knows that other people are talking about other quarterbacks. He knows that people want to trade for Deshaun Watson. So Tua's got to be one motivated mofo so he can shut everybody up. And I believe he will. Gaskin. Gaskin is a guy that was having a heck of a year overall, even before the injury. It was proven that he was going to be really productive last year. He was averaging from the line of scrimmage. He was top 10 at one point in the season in production from the line of scrimmage in the NFL, which is impressive as hell. And here's a kid that obviously is a late round pick. And he's got to know that the Dolphins tried to claim Kerryon Johnson, and they brought in Malcolm Brown, and they bring in Salvon Ahmed, and they give them some reps. So it's not like it's Gaskin's job, and they don't care about anybody else. No, Gaskin's the guy for now, but they're going to use other guys. Well, this is Gaskin's opportunity to go out there and establish himself and prove to people that he is a legitimate starting running back. So that dude's going to be incredibly motivated. Preston Williams. Preston has been frustrated with 2 years of injuries. You know, I know, everybody knows that has seen Preston Williams. If you have half a brain, you know that kid has star talent on him. The Lord blessed him with that. Now he's got to put it all together and stay on the field and prove that he can stay on a roster, because I do believe another injury-riddled year and he's gone. And there's no reason to keep him anymore because you just cannot count on him. Although I'm not ready to call him injury-prone. I still believe they brought him back too early, and the overcompensation from that injury led to the other injury. That's just me. I don't believe they gave Preston Williams enough time to recover from his initial injury. And I like that they've been patient with him this time around. So let the young man get healthy, but there's no doubt he should be motivated because he wants to get a contract eventually. He wants to get paid. He's not getting paid big money. It's an undrafted free agent. O-line. They're unproven. Dieter's got to prove he can be a center. Kinley's got to prove that he can be consistent. So does Austin Jackson, right? Robert Hunt's the one guy that is kind of turning the corner out of all the guys that you feel good. Jesse Davis is a solid veteran. We all know that. Eichenberg should be motivated to take his freaking job and become the guy. That entire O-line should be incredibly motivated because they're unproven. And they all need to prove themselves to prove that they belong in the NFL and then eventually prove that they deserve a second contract. So every one of those O-linemen, they're not going in there going, been there, done it, been to the Pro Bowl. I'm all first team this, I'm all world that. None of that's happened to any of these guys. That entire O-line should be motivated. X-Man got his money for this year. Next year goes back to $12 million, and it's guaranteed if he's on the roster. No guarantees he'll be on the roster. So X needs to go out and ball out and have another great year. So then he can demand more money again from the Dolphins, or if they trade him somewhere else. Right? Because $12 million is not enough for him. He's going to want more. He's going to want to renegotiate again. And the Dolphins only gave him the money for this year, which again, I don't know if Greer planned it that way, so he can keep the carrot dangling in front of him. But I like this. I like the way the Dolphins are built. I like the way that there's going to be several players that are going to have an edge to what they're doing. And they should be hungry. They should be motivated. And that should help out the results when it's all said and done. So I like the motivating issues with the Miami Dolphins. All right, remember, you can reach out to us on the Yahoo email at Big O Radio Show. And of course, Big O Radio Show at yahoo.com. Big O Radio Show at yahoo.com. Of course, on the YouTube chat board where we got plenty, please smash the hell out of the like button. It is so important that you smash the like button, you subscribe, you tell folks about us, send a link, all of that. Appreciate all of you out there. Thank you for keeping it locked here. Joe Schad will join us at the top of the hour for the American Dream Lending Miami Dolphins weekly report. So we'll have another Dolphin conversation with Joe Schad. Got a bunch of really good questions to ask Joe. Completely different set of questions to ask Joe than what we did with Alan Poupart. So it'll be a lot of Dolphin insight on the show today. What person listens to is a choice. I do not listen to national media because I do not respect national media. You do not get constantly blow smoke and throw shade in my household. That's what Mob Rule says, okay? Big O, I just hope Austin Jackson starts to play good. I'm with you, man. I mean, all these guys, you need them to turn the corner. But remember, some of them are not going to end up turning the corner. The Fins are built for the next man up. Players mature into starters. Expensive players can leave. That's what Rajan says. Richard says, Tua, it's too short. He is not prototype NFL quarterback. You will find this out to be true all this preseason. Hype baloney. Okay. It's all good. But when he hits, Richard, we'll never hear from you again. So that's fine. And there have been short quarterbacks in this league all over the place. So it's not like it's something that's new that you get a 6-foot quarterback. You know, Drew Brees wasn't tall either. So, and he was pretty successful. But it's all right. If it's not the shortness, it's the arm, it's whatever, you know, it's always something that people will be pointing out with the kid. And that is what it is. Well, I get it. Let's see, what else do we have here on the text line? Let's see what else. Rafael says 107 watching on YouTube, 49 likes. Let's go, people. I don't know if they're, I don't know. Let me refresh here. See how many likes. We got 93. Pretty good. Let's go. Let's bring it up. Let's take it to 200, man. Let's go. Take it to 200. Richard says, I know you a long time, but you are not objective because you were so hungry for a winner. Unfortunately, our quarterback is not the guy. You will find out. Okay. That's fine. It's fine. If that's what you think, my man, and you know, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you on that one. That's the way you want to think. You can go ahead and think that way. And yeah, me, of course, I'm never objective. I'm always wearing the pom-poms. Yep, you really know me well. So many people think they are good at evaluating players and they don't know squat. Big O, I'm the guy that used to call you after games on Sunday, Richard from Hollywood. Moved away. Okay. All right. It's not the size of the dog, but the size of the fight in the dog. Nah, I don't tell him about it. Then Richard doesn't want to know about Drew Brees. That's all right, bro. I mean, that's why I told you. Tua's got to be motivated because there's plenty of people that don't believe in Tua. That's all. It's it is what it is. You can't do anything about it. He's got to live with that now, and he's got to now prove people wrong. No matter what he did in college, none of it counts. And a lot of people weren't buying what he did last year. You know, what are you going to do? All right, let's do this. Let's take a really quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be joined by Joe Schad of the Palm Beach Post for our American Dream Lending Miami Dolphins weekly report. So Joe joins us for his first Saturday report and his last Saturday report, because this, again, is our last Saturday show. All right. Remember, you can support the show through Cash App and Venmo. Cash Big O Show is the address. Cash Big O Show is the address. Big O, if Gesicki balls out, Miami can also franchise him $10 million. They could. It all depends on what happens with the other guys, because the other guys, they could end up, if those other guys do play somehow and they develop, then maybe the thoughts of some of these guys that thought they were going to trade Gesicki, they are right. I thought they would keep him, but Ethan Carter develops into something. Hunter Long and Adam Shaheen. Maybe you make a move. Maybe you do make a move and you save yourself a little cap space too in the process. All right, let's take a quick break. Joe Schad from the Palm Beach Post will join us next.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5590. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
This is the Big O Show.
There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.
This is the Big O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Dolphins fans, buckle up. It's time for the American Dream Lending Miami Dolphins Report with Joe Schad. When you're ready to purchase a new home or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. Call them at 786-802-1727 or online at adreamlending.com. Here's Joe Schad with today's edition of the American Dream Lending Report.
There we go. There he is, the man, the myth, the let. You were tripping me out, bro. You were like sideways.
Well,
what the hell is this? Yeah, like there, yeah. How you doing, brother? You doing all right?
Everything is awesome, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, my friend, and it's good to get football like officially started today. College, which obviously you did a lot of coverage of college football with your time at ESPN. Do we give our Canes any chance today? I mean, Joe, I'm just going into this game praying that they can be competitive. I don't even expect them to win. I just want, keep it within 20 or something, dude. How sad is that? But where do you stand on all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Alabama hammer non-conference opponents time after time after time, really talented teams. I mean, you give Nick Saban an entire offseason to prepare, and that's usually bad news. You know, his staff is kind of similar to the Dolphins staff in terms of the amount of time that they put into preparing for the opponent. And of course, at Alabama, they have more former Division 1A head coaches as interns. It's almost unfair. You know, I'm sure they have in-depth scouting reports on the Canes' third-string left tackle.
Oh, God. Man, and let me tell you, the offensive line is going to definitely be an enormous key to the game today. They've got all that experience. They better come through and protect King too, because he's coming off that knee surgery. All right, so let's get into a little Dolphins. You had the article about the 10 underrated players. would Jakeem Grant fill that list? Because I almost think that he's the best returner in Dolphin history, yet everybody wanted him either traded or cut because he's not a good receiver. We all know that. He's an elite returner, but not a good receiver. Wouldn't Jakeem Grant be also one of those guys that's underrated? Because I don't think people appreciate enough, or some people don't appreciate enough, what he brings to the special team side and how he is just an absolutely valuable weapon at that point.
Yeah, man, that's a very interesting point. I didn't think of including Jakeem Grant. I didn't include Jakeem Grant. I included guys like Zach Sealer, Andrew Van Ginkel, Miles Gaskin. You can check out the article on the Palm Beach Post Sports website. And but if Jakeem was just a returner and always a returner, he would be considered an amazing success story. A guy who was drafted in the 5th or 6th round, who becomes one of the top punt returners in the NFL. He's got a great personality. He's exciting. He's fast. He's a great returner. It's a very interesting point. And he's probably not going to have to play receiver for the Dolphins this year. And the only thing is, if Jalen Waddle ends up returning punts, could Jakeem Grant actually be a scratch? I don't think so. No. I don't think that will happen. I think he's too valuable, and you're able to protect Jalen Waddle's health a little bit too.
By the way, I've used this example, Hardeman Hill for Kansas City. That's the way you got to do it. Jakeem's Hardeman the entire time. You're full-time returner, but late in the half, you're down by 3, down by 7. Late in the fourth quarter, you're down by 7. Yo, Jalen, we need a little juice. Get your ass out there. And, he's the bigger player. He probably can break a couple more tackles than Jakeem. So you use him occasionally like they do with Tyreek Hill. Like Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders was a full-time returner in the first year or two. After that, it was they had a returner, but then when they needed that extra juice, they'd send Deion in to return. I think that's how you use Jalen Waddle, the Tyreek Hill and the Deion Sanders way. When you need the secret weapon, you unleash it. But off of foot surgery, full-time returner and wide receiver, I don't think I would be smart with Jalen.
And it would be very interesting to see if there's any point in time that the Dolphins put these receivers all on the field at the same time. Will Fuller, Jalen Waddle, Albert Wilson, Jakeem Grant. And one of my best memories since returning to the Dolphins beat, Big O, is Albert Wilson and Jakeem Grant high-fiving on their way into the end zone in 2018. That was a terrific memory. And Mike Gesicki, the tight end, told us the other day that Albert Wilson looks like the Albert Wilson of 2018. Now, he's missed some time with injury here recently, but he's so explosive and exciting that he and Fuller and Waddle are as 3 fresh targets for Tua Tagovailoa. And, of course, Fuller won't play in the opener, but that's a very intriguing possibility.
All right. You and I were talking about this whole Watson situation, and just to kind of follow it up and put a bow on it. And I know that people have been talking about, connections between the Dolphins or anybody else with the Texans. Joe, the problem I can't get through my mind is if he's not going to be deposed to the spring, and he's got all these lawsuits, and he's got an investigation going on, I have a hard time believing that any trade was going to end up happening anyway, that the NFL would allow you to make a trade for a guy that could be found to be a sexual predator. And that would be a terrible look that the league is trading a sexual predator from one team to another. So you want to avoid that. So, and I would think these teams have more of the information that you and I do about the legal issues. This is where I have a hard time believing that there was any kind of offer now. I believe initially months ago, I could see where there was some conversation. But now recently, the last couple weeks, last month, what have you been able to unearth out of all of that? Because that's the part I have a hard time comprehending. How do you trade for a person at this point when everything, his entire life is in the balance?
I don't know if the Miami Dolphins had an offer still on the table for Deshaun Watson, say, a week ago. I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me because the Dolphins are an organization, like most smart organizations, that try to leverage plays and capitalize on value. And you're obviously not going to give up 3 first-round draft picks for Deshaun Watson at this time, but What if it was 2? What if you can acquire Deshaun Watson? What if you know the NFL isn't going to stop the trade? And now I'm not saying I would do this, but the Dolphins perhaps would see the great value in giving up 2 ones, even if you know you're not going to have Deshaun Watson for the first 8 games of the year or perhaps the entire season. You could still, if Tua Tagovailoa turns out to be what you hope he is, turn around and trade Deshaun Watson. So my opinion has been that it's not worth the downside of the stress, the negativity, the toxicity, the controversy, the drama, the negativity, the potential negative impact on Tua Tagovailoa's psyche. And so I'm sort of glad that we've reached this point where it's pretty clear that the Dolphins will not be acquiring Deshaun Watson anytime soon. I'm looking forward to seeing what Tua can do. And I wrote a really long article about Tua's leadership skills. And Big O, we know that he doesn't have Justin Herbert's arm, and he's probably never going to be the player that Joe Burrow will be if Burrow stays healthy. But this guy has the it factor, man. He's got the intangibles. He's, we can go over and over and over the poise and the accuracy, but really the biggest reason the Dolphins picked this guy is because of the it factor. And I think it's going to present itself early this season. I think people are going to say in the first 3 weeks, wow, totally different dude.
I've been a believer in the kid from the get-go. The only thing I've ever been concerned with is his injury history. That's the only thing. And I'm a weirdo from last year. I was incredibly impressed by his season last year. I'm different than other people where people look at that season like, well, he was all right. No, I think he was actually fantastic because it wasn't his offensive coordinator. It wasn't his offense. He wasn't the starter taking starter reps. He had no offseason. He was repairing a hip. His offense wasn't that good. His offensive line wasn't that good. And yet he still won more than he lost. He still threw more touchdowns than interceptions. He still had some pretty damn good performances overall.
He did okay. Yeah. Big O, it's kind of like when you go bowling with they put the foam pads and the gutters there to make sure you don't throw any gutter balls, and it bounces off the foam and you get a strike and you're kind of like, yay, I got a strike. Well, yeah, but I mean,
that's terrible.
No, what I'm saying is that all it was like rollouts, slants, and screens. I mean, you didn't get a chance.
He didn't know the offense.
But they were also trying to protect him and his health, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. And I don't think we blame him for that, right? Right? I mean, I think that's kind of I personally, by the way, I was the guy that was saying, don't play his ass till late in the season when you're out of it and all that. Play him in the last month, 5 weeks. So he's a year removed from the surgery finally. And maybe I didn't like him starting the season already on the roster. I wasn't a fan of that because you and I know Joe, and he knows he wasn't healthy last year. Hell, even Flores mentioned it early in training camp that, that it's a different guy now because he said he was healthy and everything. Something you couldn't really say last year about Tua.
I am really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. And I think it's going to be a lot more creative, a lot more dynamic, a lot more interesting, a lot more fun. I think you're going to see varied tempos. I think you're going to see more motion. I think you're going to see more shifts. I think you're going to see quick passing. I think you're going to see medium passing. I think you're going to see deep passing. I think you're going to see slant, quick out, end around, screen, deep pass, run, deep pass. I think it's going to be a nice blend, a way more interesting offense to watch, and the ability to put up a lot more yards and a lot more points. I was thinking about this in the shower earlier today, Big O. That's where I come up with most of my brilliant thoughts.
There you go.
Here's one for you. Tell me if you agree with this. Would you sign on the dotted line for this right now? We're going to go Tua Tagovailoa. We're going to go top 14 in the NFL in passer rating, top 14 in passer yards, and top 14 in passing touchdowns. Would you sign on the dotted line for that right now?
That's money in the bank. That's definitely going to happen. He's going to throw 30+ this year.
Wow. Money in the bank on those 3 categories.
I have all the faith in the world in this kid. I do. As a player, because I think he's a player. I think he's going to be one of the more creative dudes back there. that when, for me, the sign of a real quarterback, it's not that you can deliver the ball and you can be a game manager all the time and all that. It's when chaos happens. And that's one of the things that I loved about what I saw from Reed Sinnett the other night, that he got rushed and blitzed all over the place, and the kid was a calm, cool customer moving around. And I think, and we've seen that from Tua, that he's been able to move around and keep his eyes above and never flustered. And I think he's going to be one of those guys that has that moxie back there, that he's going to continue to make plays and buy his team time. And those, I mean, that Saban used to get pissed off that was why he got injured, that he would buy himself so much time and waited every last moment to make a play. And that's where his injuries came from at times. But I think that that's his nature. And I think people have forgotten that. And I think they're going to relive it now with the Dolphins. And they're going to go, wow, this guy's incredibly smart. This guy has great awareness back there. And when you have that awareness, you're going to buy yourself so much more time, and you're going to make so much more plays. If everything has to be scripted perfectly and you can't hit it when you drop back on your third step and you deliver and that play isn't there and you're like, oh, now I got to ad lib, and that's a problem. That happens to a lot of quarterbacks.
He's got a good sense. He's got a good sense of awareness in the pocket. It's something Ryan Fitzpatrick was really good at. He was one of the best in the NFL at avoiding sacks that should have occurred when guys were constantly being run at. This is a little bit of an underrated talking point here. Austin Jackson is a huge key to Tua Tagovailoa's success or lack thereof. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa can only step up into the pocket, climb the pocket, avoid a guy, avoid another guy, roll out, spin around so many times. Austin Jackson, who is a very athletic guy and a very nice guy and a high draft pick, needs to live up to his status soon, because he has struggled in the preseason here. He has struggled. He needs to be better. And he would tell you that. He's a candid guy. He's a straight up guy. He's got all the tools needed. The size, the arms, the feet. He just needs to put it all together soon.
Let me ask you something. How concerned should we be when you look at the wide receiving core? Okay, I love the wide receiving core. There's a lot of talent there. But Parker, Wilson, Fuller, Waddle, and even Grant to a certain extent. It's a lot of injuries there. There's a lot of guys there that have had injuries throughout their careers. I'm not going to call Waddle a career injury guy, but he is coming off a foot surgery. And we've seen Jakeem, if you're forced to use him as a wide receiver a lot, he will wear down also in the process. How concerned are you that there is a large injury history right now with the majority of their wide receivers?
It's always a concern. I mean, guys who get hurt. It doesn't stop. It doesn't matter what sport it is, basketball, baseball, football. Guys who get hurt. So these guys are going to get hurt. The Dolphins are going to have to look for a little bit of luck and hope that, okay, between Parker, Wilson, Fuller, and Waddle, that the majority of the games this year, so at least 9 of them, at least 3 of them are available. So write that down. 9 games or more, 3 of the 4 available. Would you sign up for that right now? Maybe.
Yeah, but if you're going to make the playoffs, I think you're going to need them to be healthier for more than that. I think, if you're going to get to the playoffs, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and by the way, in a column that I'll be publishing tomorrow on the Palm Beach Post's website as part of our preseason preview section, I'm going to call for the Dolphins to not only make the playoffs, but win their first playoff game after 20 years of misery. So I am predicting that the Dolphins will win 11 games and win their first playoff game after 20 years of being in the same clubhouse as the Detroit Lions and the Cincinnati Bengals.
See, I knew that it was going to be a great thing to add you to the show and be a part of the family here, because you and I think alike here. I got him winning 11 games, maybe even 12, and winning 1 game in the playoffs. I'm with you all the way. I think this is an underrated team. Now, let me ask you this. You got weapons at wide receiver. You got some weapons also at tight end. You got, I think, a quarterback that's on the rise now. questionable offensive line. They need to grow and step up, and maybe they will. Does Myles Gaskin rush for over 1,000 yards this season? You're positive about the Dolphins. You like what Tua's going to do. You think he's going to be top 14. Does Myles Gaskin cross the 1,000-yard mark as a running back?
No, I think the Dolphins would take 1,000 total yards, including the receiving yards. He's going to get a lot of his total yards in the receiving game. He's one of the 10 best receiving backs in the NFL. If you play that PPR stuff, he might be a good guy to have as a receiving back, although the Dolphins do have a lot of targets and figure to spread it around. But, I think Ahmed is going to have a lot of touches. I think Malcolm Brown is going to have a lot of third down and goal line touches. So, and I think there's always the possibility that a guy who's not on the roster yet ends up getting a bunch of touches. So I don't think the Dolphins running back situation is entirely settled. I do think that Gaskin has proven that he is a legitimate NFL back.
All right, we'll wrap it up with this. Joe Schad, of course, from the Palm Beach Post. Please subscribe to the Palm Beach Post.
Tomorrow's the last day, Big O. Listen,
Oh,
it's $1 for 6 months.
I know.
Tomorrow's the last day, though. The special is ending. So please click on one of my stories because I get credit for that. If you click on my story and then pay the $1, I get credit for that.
There you go. We got a bunch of people watching. We got thousands that download. Let's go support my man Joe Schad in the Palm Beach Post. Plus, it's $1 a month. What a joke that is. And you get great Dolphin coverage there. And you would not get that article. You got to be a subscriber to get that article that I read of yours. That was
the top 10.
The top 10 was a subscriber one. So, that proves to you that I'm subscribing. So, anyway.
Thanks for the $1, Big O.
Hey, man, every dollar counts, bro. Every dollar counts. I don't know if this is planned, Joe, but I talked a little bit about this. And if it's planned, then Chris Greer is an evil genius, or maybe a winning genius, or just a genius, period. Gesicki needs a new deal. Got to be motivated. Ogba needs a new deal. Got to be motivated. Jakeem Grant got his deal cut down to 1 year. Motivated. Fuller signed a 1-year deal because nobody will give him a long-term. Got to stay healthy. Got to stay on the field if he wants to get that long-term contract. Tua been dissed by people left and right. He can say whatever he wants. He hears the rumbling. He should be motivated. Gaskin, a guy that still, he watches them, try to claim running backs, bring in other running backs. He's got to be motivated. Preston Williams, 2 straight years, frustrations with the injuries. The kid is supremely blessed with talent. Can he put it together? Got to be motivated. O-line, much maligned. And a lot of people don't believe in this O-line or they've given up. They've got to be motivated. X-Man, they gave him his money for 1 year. Next year, you and I know this shit starts again because he only gets $12 million, so he's going to want more money. But the only way he does that is if he kicks ass again and stays healthy. That will help him get more money, so he should be motivated. There's a lot of motivation, self-motivation for a lot of these guys that could end up benefiting team results. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, this is right in Brian Flores' wheelhouse. The Athletic, which is a good sports app, but they don't have a Dolphins reporter. So I don't know if I'm going to hold on to my subscription. I might just buy an extra subscription to the Palm Beach Post. They don't even have a Dolphins writer. They said the Dolphins aren't in the top 10 in the AFC. And so I'm sure that Brian Flores and his team of trusted advisors in the circle of trust, that they have worked up one of those screenshots and put that in a meeting there. They say you suck. They say you suck. And that's right in Flo's wheelhouse. I didn't think he was going to be able to do it this year. They're going to forget the Joe Schad playoff prediction. They're just going to go with the Athletic screen grab.
Yeah, no, remember, it's boring to talk positive stuff or write positive stuff. You got to find the dirt or the negativity. That's what gets the clicks, dude. That's what it's all about in this world, man. You know what I'm saying? You have the great steak. You rarely pull over the maitre d' and say, hey, can you go tell the chef this is the best steak I've ever had in my life? But if it's undercooked or there's a hair in your soup, boy, they're going to hear from your ass, right? So that's just the way this world is.
I'm
right?
the guy who sends the compliments to the chef, Big O. You should know that. I worked in a restaurant for many years. My family had some Italian restaurants. I'm not Italian, but Italian people in my family had restaurants in New York. And so I have great respect for those who work in the kitchen, run the food, and serve the food as well.
Well, you have our respect, and I'm sure the Dolphin Nation is very happy with your prediction for the playoffs and a win in the playoffs, which is a beautiful thing. Now, everybody that's listening, get your asses over to the Palm Beach Post, click one of Joe Schad's articles, subscribe. It's $1 a month. You can lock it in for the football season. For a couple of bucks, you'll have his coverage, which is exceptional. And Hal Habit, too, helps out also. With the Dolphin
Wiley
coverage.
veteran. There's a lot of turnover on the Dolphins staff, Dolphins media core, but with Joe and Hal, we certainly have plenty of experience. It's mostly Hal.
Yeah. Well, no, you this is your second go around. You got plenty. You got plenty of experience, dog. All right. Hey, enjoy your weekend, my man. We'll talk early next week, and we'll have some fun as we get ready for the regular season, baby. Appreciate
Thanks, Big O. Be well.
You got it. There you go. The great Joe Schad, baby. Gotta love it. Joining us here with the American Dream Lending Miami Dolphins weekly reports. And you will catch Joe Schad twice a week here on the show. How about that? What show gives you Joe Schad twice a week, Alan Poupart twice a week, Omar Kelly twice a week, and yours truly every single day, 6 days a week? Wall to wall, baby. Nobody gives you better Dolphins coverage than right here on the Big O Radio Show, baby. Love it. Love it. It's good stuff by Joe Schad. Getting it done with the American Dream Lending Miami Dolphins weekly report.
When you're ready to purchase a new home or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee, and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today. 786-802-1727 or online at adreamlending.com.
All righty, we're back. We thank Joe Schad as always. Appreciate you. Jim Gleason says, what show gives you the best Fins coverage? No BS. Big O, that's right, baby. That's right. You tell them. And smash the hell out of that like button. We need you to smash that like button that gets the algorithms going, and it spreads it out. Okay? We just don't want to be a virus. That's all. Emilio says, great point, Big O. Motivation money is always big. The difference between landing on the 1 yard line or breaking the plane of the goal line. I like it. James Baker says, I just did some goat yoga here in Orlando, Florida. Goat yoga. I don't know what goat yoga is. Oh, is that like you do yoga and there's a goat on your back or something? Is that true? Joe is another great addition to the lineup. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We have the best lineup for South Florida sports talk, period. With Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro talking Heat and the Inside the Paint show. And then we have Manny Navarro for the Canes. Are you kidding me? It's not even close, dude, what we got going on this show compared to anything else that's out there. And no politics either. We don't have to kiss anybody's ass. All right. Remember, you can support our program through Cash App and Venmo. Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show through Cash App and Venmo. I want to mention this for Dolph fans out there. I think we all should be rooting and admiring Michael Dieter. And I'll tell you why, because there are players that set an example of how to handle yourself. And we've watched the examples that you don't want to be. You don't want to be Minka Fitzpatrick when you're not listening to your coach and you're going to whatever drill you want, when they need you to do multiple things at the moment because the team is growing. So you're a multi-talented player. We need you to help us out here and there. And you refuse to do that. These are ways you don't handle yourself, right? And you look at Michael Dieter, And I think Michael Dieter's one of those players. Look, I root for every Dolphin player. That's the law. I don't, as much as I don't believe in Ryan Tannehill, I rooted for the kid. I wanted him to kick ass and take the team to the playoffs and go deep into the playoffs and all those things. I'm going to root for Cleo Lemon, even though I don't think he can play a lick. I'm going to root for Pat White. I'm going to root for any bad player that you've had here, or decent player, or great player, or whatever. That's, once you wear the aqua and orange, we got to root for you. We want you to have success, right? Whether we believe it or not, it doesn't matter. We still need you to have success. Jerry Wilson, please try to cover, even though you can't cover anything, but we got to root for you, unfortunately. So the way it is. You got the aqua and orange on, right? So that's a law. We got to always do that. But while you watch how Minka carried himself, here's a kid that in his rookie year was forced to play tackle. Didn't complain. Didn't make excuses. And he had a rough rookie year, man. And then he not only plays a rough rookie year, not only plays multiple positions, has to help out on tackle, because, that first year was kind of patchwork all the way through and trying to just survive. Then last year, they draft a bunch of guys. He kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and he's a backup. Did he go to reporters and complain about lack of playing time? Hey, they drafted me, but if I'm not playing, how am I going to develop? Or any smart-ass remarks from Michael Dieter? At any time? No. And then when they needed him at a pinch last year, he came in and actually played well. He actually did his job. The little that he played last year, he actually did a decent job. So he stayed ready. He stayed being a professional, not complaining, not pointing fingers, not saying me, me, me. And when they needed you, you were ready. When they needed you at tackle, you went there, even though you weren't going to be comfortable, even though there was a great chance you were going to fail. But the team needed you, and you went out there and sacrificed it. And that should not go under the radar when we watch the way others behave around the NFL. And then you watch him now, he makes the new move to center, which threw all of us off. Threw you off, threw me off. Whoa, they're making him the center. And we thought, well, they're going to bring in a veteran center. He'll take over for Dieter. Dieter will be the backup, whatever. He'll back up center. He'll back up guard. He'll be like a swing guy, right? That's kind of what you thought. The dude ends up beating out anything that they brought at center. So obviously he earned their respect enough to play an incredibly important position for your young quarterback. So now you see that he's been able to outperform, and then you watch what a true professional looks like, and it looks like Michael Dieter. And I get it, not a finished product. We don't even know if he's going to be a really good center or anything like that. We don't even know if he's going to be the long-term center. We don't even know if he's going to be the center in October. But I will tell you this, that as a Dolphins fan, I like to root for the kind of people that are going to set the right example and be the right kind of leaders for your team. And Michael Dieter comes from Wisconsin, where they've produced a shitload of linemen. So maybe it does take him to year 3 to figure it out. Remember, he didn't get a lot of time in year 2. He might have figured it out last year. But I will tell you this, I will be one of the guys in this group that is going to be rooting hard for Michael Dieter to succeed, because he has carried himself the right way. He has done everything the right way. All he needs now is to put it together as a player. And if he does that, Miami wins, because they have a leader there on the line, and they have a guy that is going to set the right example for everybody on the team. Because if Jesse Davis is willing to move to multiple positions, and so is Michael Dieter, and if Javon Holland is told to cover a tight end or to play the slot, he's going to do it. That kind of stuff is priceless, and it sets an example, and it also it kind of also sets what it also helps you define what you are as a Miami Dolphin player, that you're there to help the team, period. And if they need you at another spot, you move and you help them at that moment in that spot. I'll be rooting for Dieter in a big time way. I hope he succeeds, man. I really do. Plus, we need him to succeed as Miami Dolphins fans, because if they're going to make the playoffs, they need to have a center that actually can get the job done. Mike Dieter survived Coach Flo's restruction, Big O? Reconstruction or reconstruction, maybe is what you mean? Yes, he did. Let's hope he now excels. David says Jimmy Johnson's final year in Miami was a joke. He did not want to be there and was coerced to coach one more season in 99 by Huizinga, with his buddy Wani joining the staff as an assistant. Yep. Yeah, they put the training wheels on Wani and then he left. Yeah, that's what it was. You're right about that. I don't know what the conversation is, David, but yes, you are 1,000% right. That's exactly what happened. Live chat only available for live streams. Yes. Yeah, once I start it, then it's open. And then once I shut it down, it's over. Yes. No doubt. Soon, you know what? Maybe I'll put a chat board on our website, and you guys can chat there all the time. You guys can hook up before, after the show, and whatever. James Baker says, now listen to Big O and Joe. That's right, baby. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you out there. What else do we have here? Do we have any questions? Ball placement, very concerning and telegraphing passes. Flutie type player is ceiling, or Rex Grossman. Okay. That's what you think Tua is Rex Grossman. Okay. All right. By the way, did you guys see Oladipo from the Miami Heat? I want to warn Victor Oladipo on something, because what he's doing is very dangerous. All right? I know some of you are going, what's he doing? What are you talking about? Well, he tweeted this out, and you know what? Let me can I enlarge this tweet here? Can I enlarge it? No, right? I can't, I guess. No. Okay. Well, it is what it is here. But you see it there. It says, low key, tired of being single. Victor Oladipo tweeted out, tired of being single. And he is a basketball player with money. And he's in South Florida. Does he know how dangerous of a tweet that is? You know that he's going to have IG models left and right now in his DMs. Guaranteed. Like, Victor, you don't publicize this stuff. I just want to, as an older man that's experienced on life, I just want you to know, and knowing how dirty this world is, I mean, look, and I don't expect you to be PJ Washington, who's just, a young dumbass. I don't care what he does on the basketball court, but as a young man, he's a dumbass, right? And he somehow falls in love with a piece of ass named, Brittany Renner, who it's, what's her Twitter handle? Ball of Brittany or something it is. And she's a trip, by the way. I follow her on Instagram. But you kind of know what Brittany Renner is. Like, if you go out with that, it's just, you want to hit it and quit it. That's all. It's just a notch on your 6-shooter. That's not the stuff that you marry or get pregnant, dude. You kind of got to know what the agenda is with those kind of women. And that's what he's going to attract with that kind of a text. Victor, you got to stay low key, because eventually at some quiet party or business meeting or something, you will find that right low-key woman that, is classy and wants to be with you for you, not for your money. Now, the funny part is that after that tweet was sent out, there was a gentleman that tweeted this out, And I thought that was funny. A Lone Depot table for one. That was good. That was good. Props to Heat Nation CP is the account that that sent that one. But I thought that was funny. A Lone Depot. And I know some of you that are, if you're downloading the podcast, you can't watch this, so you can't see what I'm talking about. But you can go to Victor Oladipo's Twitter feed, which is Vic VIC Oladipo, and you'll see it there. He did like it. He put a smiling face on it for the Alone Depot table for one. That was good. That was good. But again, Victor, you're asking for some trouble by advertising that, because now you've got these women that may be targeting your ass and trying to find out where you're going to be, and they're going to act like that low-key woman when they're really not that low-key woman. Be careful, Depot. And please, get healthy, my man. Victor Oladipo could be the ultimate X factor for the Miami Heat in the playoffs. Because you think about it, they got a bunch of older guys, right? And Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler and stuff like that, and PJ and Markieff Morris. The key this season is going to be Bam. It's going to be Tyler Hero. It's going to be Duncan Robinson. And if somehow or another you keep Victor Oladipo healthy, those four younger legs are the engines that are going to need to score more. And then the veterans are the guys that are going to help serve those guys up and set them up, but at the same time, play on the defensive side of the court and take care of business. So it's imperative that these young guys come through, especially on the offensive end. Look, I know Bam's going to play defense, but I'm not expecting much from Duncan or Tyler Hero. Depot can play D, but those guys better kick ass offensively. So Oladipo, my man, I hope you find love. But who sung that song? Looking for love in all the wrong places. That's it right there. You're looking for love on Twitter. That is all the wrong places. Okay? You'll be looking at love, too many faces. All right? So that's from I remember definitely in the Urban Cowboy soundtrack, which, by the way, an underrated soundtrack. You know, I don't think anybody was expecting that on a Saturday, that I was going to throw a curveball at you and tell you, it's an underrated soundtrack. And that is one. Such a great soundtrack, actually. All right. Good morning, Big O from Bromar. I created a fantasy football league. 20 teams draft is tomorrow at 11 a.m. We need people to join. Bromar, send me a link at Big O Radio Show at yahoo.com. And if you want to just put the link right now on the chat board so people can go to it. That's what you do, Bromar. Right there. You just did. Just like you chatted, go grab the link and put it on there, because this show's about to end anyway. So go put it on really quickly here. Let's see. Big O, I'm now more worried about Oladipo's injuries. Understand Watson has an accusation. I still remember we still have a court system. Before we accuse, allow the evidence to speak the truth, if there's any evidence. That's the problem about this whole thing. It's he said, they said. But somebody's going to need some video. Somebody's going to need some pictures. Somebody's going to need some audio. Somebody's going to need some kind of context. It's going to be tough. That's the thing. He better worry about that quad. The blank will come. You're right about that. C. Dola goes, nah, he's guilty. I'll judge with prejudice. Danny Oga says, Mickey Gilly. Mickey Gilly sings that song? Rosendo put Johnny Lee. All right, now you guys got me going on here. Let me see. It's Johnny Lee? Okay. Johnny Lee sings it. That's a good song, man. That's a good song. That in that movie, Okay, I know Deborah Winger's a cutie and all that stuff. I got to tell you something. In that movie, I would have stayed with the other one. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I thought the other one was a smoke show, but that's just me. You know, probably would have stayed with it. Hey, man, I'm just going by what I saw in the movie. Let me see. Yep, song by Johnny Lee. You are correct, sir. You are correct. Johnny Lee. That's it. There you go. Great tune, man. Great freaking tune. Big O, have you ever seen the movie Tombstone? Yeah, man, of course. Yes, definitely. Good movie. Watson is only a PR nightmare for the Tuaneers. Okay. By the way, Inter Miami, good luck to them tonight. They visit Cincinnati FC, 8:00. I like that because the UM game, the UM and Alabama game will be over by then. I hope, you know what? I mean, I can only be in like a sour mood if UM isn't competitive in this game. If they're competitive, man, I know they're not better. I don't expect them to win, but I hope Inter can win. They can beat Cincinnati. It's a winnable game. And Robbie Robinson will play. He left the Chile national team, so I like that. Marlins defeated the Phillies. Congratulations to them, 10-3. Tonight, it'll be Suarez and Rogers on the mound. Trevor Rogers has had such a good year, man. I hope they get him bats next year because that would be absolutely awesome. What else do we have here? Oh, one more thing that I wanted to talk about. I saw the whole Naomi Osaka thing at the U.S. Open. And that young lady, I feel bad for her because clearly she's kind of coming apart at the seams, and she's kind of been showing, you know, those effects the last couple of months with things that have gone on in her life. And she kind of put her career in doubt also. And yesterday when I saw her and I saw all that stuff with breaking the rackets and all that, and she apologized after, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Ryan Leaf. And the thing about life nowadays and young people and younger generations, and I don't mean to be insensitive for all of this. I don't want to be insensitive, but I almost feel like it's harder for them to cope with the reality of life because you know, I get Ryan Leaf struggled with football, and I see Naomi struggling right now with issues in tennis. But I look at life, and I look at men and women and mothers and fathers or single mothers and single fathers, and they've got to carry mortgages, and they've got to carry car payments and insurance, and they got to have one or two jobs, and they've got kids, and they've got to worry about pressure is everywhere, man. It's everywhere. And it's something that you're going to, even if you walk away from athletics, well, if you've made enough money and you can walk away with all that money, then maybe you won't need to worry that much about life. But it's kind of what it is. We all live in some type of a pressure cooker. You know what I mean? And it just seems like we're we're getting to a point now where at least this is kind of the impression I get, and maybe it's because we have more social media and more TV channels than we can handle and everything else going on, so we get to see a lot of it more than we did in the past. But it just seems like it's something that is happening more often. And I don't know if it was our older generations. Were we better at just keeping it inside and then marching through and fighting through the adversity? And I know that we want to be, we want to accept these kind of feelings because we want people to be able to, speak out and talk about their frustrations and whatever demons they're living with. You know what I mean? But it just seems like it's something that's a lot more commonplace than now. And I don't know what it is because, we didn't have social media. We didn't have 400 TV channels 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. And yet pressure was there. Pressure was always there. You know what I mean? But it's just one of those where When I saw Osaka, I thought right away of Ryan Leaf and how tough it is for athletes. But then when as I was thinking, I'm going, well, what about the person that, works 2 jobs, has kids, has to find money every month to pay for the rent and the insurance and feed their kids? And I don't know, is there any more pressure than that? It's just it's tough. And I wonder at times if these younger generations are not as well suited for dealing with pressures. And is it our fault? Is it our fault as parents that we didn't teach our kids how to deal with the kind of pressures that's coming and how tough life is? I wonder. I wonder about that sometimes because I see this a lot. And I wonder if as parents we did a piss poor job of maybe giving them what the real reality is and what's coming and how freaking difficult life is. I mean, some kids have trouble even just getting a job, starting a career, maintaining a job. It's kind of I felt for her, you know what I mean? I was like, and it's very common what goes on, but I thought of Ryan Leaf right at that moment. And then I started to think about it and go, man, everybody's got pressure, dude. Everywhere. You don't have to be an athlete. The regular person, just to survive every month and keep their heads above water, is so difficult in this world. So my prayers to Osaka. I hope she's able to figure things out because obviously she's got some issues that she's got to deal with right now. And you saw Ryan Leaf was never able to overcome his issues, and it cost him his career. And he's screwed up after many times. And that guy's gotten like 8,000 breaks, which is amazing. All right. Big O, our generation was told no. We had no tryouts for Little League, and some kids didn't make teams, no participation awards, and we got a spanking, not a timeout. We interacted with others. Yeah, it's different, man. But you know what's the screwed up part? We can't do anything that they did to us to our kids. None. I can't kick now my daughter's 21 now. Not that I would do it, but like if she was 12, I wouldn't do it either. But like I can't kick her ass like they kicked mine with belts and shoes and all kinds of stuff. There's no way, dude. I was like 7 or 8 years old. I would go out skin diving with my dad all the time, and he'd go spear fishing, right? And my dad was like a fish, and I was like 7, I believe, maybe 8, and I go to him, hey, when are you going to teach me how to swim? And he goes, now, and he pushed me right off the boat in the middle of the ocean. That's how I learned how to swim. You do that now to a kid, when you get to shore, they call child services on your ass. You're dead. You know what I mean? But when we got our asses kicked and we were crying and then it was over, like, a half hour later and all that, in the end, you might have been pissed or whatever, but you knew you deserved the ass kicking. That's the difference too, I think. I think some kids nowadays, it's like they think they're above all this stuff. And I think we kind of had a realization of, we screwed up, bro. They caught us. That's it. You knew it was coming. It was an ass kicking. You lived it. You survived it. Big deal. You move on. We can't do anything like that nowadays. Nothing. I've told the story a bunch of times where we were in the table, me and a couple cousins and all that, and one of the guys didn't want to eat a steak. So he ate about half of it. And when they weren't kind of looking, he grabbed the other half and he stuck it in his pocket. But the old lady noticed. And the old lady goes, where's your steak? You had half a steak there. She didn't say half. You got a big piece of steak there. What happened? What'd you do with it? She walks all the way around the table. She starts looking around. And then she reaches into his pocket and she pulls out the steak. And as she pulls out the steak, this is food. You don't do this with food. As that's going on, the old man has the spoon for the beans. And he's like this, dot, 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 dot. Make sure he got all the sauce off the beans. And you think he's just going to put it on the side. And he grabs the thing and he goes right across the table. Bah! Right here in the forehead. And crying, all that. And he runs out to the room or whatever. And we're laughing, obviously, because they busted him. They hit him with a spoon on the head. There's still some black from the black bean sauce. So it's a running joke for the next couple of weeks. And when we see each other every once in a blue moon, that story will come up. So it's something that he hasn't outlived for 50 years or 40-something years. I'm 54. So, think about that. Can you do that nowadays? Can you grab that big, wide-ass bean spoon and hit somebody right in the forehead? What do you think will happen? We cannot do anything that we did to what they did to us. We could never do to our kids. Okay? Never. Impossible. No, it would be child abuse. And I laugh because then we were all abused. And, we came out fine. It didn't affect us, but whatever. It is what it is. What are you going to do? All right, let's wrap it up here on the show. We want to thank all of you out there, as always. We thank Joe Schad. We thank, of course, Alan Poupar. And, of course, all of you, please smash the hell out of the like button. It is very important you do that. Share the link on the podcast, on the YouTube page, all of that. I appreciate all of you out there. So kind. We will see you on Monday. Same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a good one. There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.